Easter recipes are in full effect. Today we're going to be making a lard bread called Casatiello Napoletano. This is a traditional Easter bread that's made in the Naples area. Into the bowl of a stand mixer, I have bread flour, salt, and pepper. Now I'm going to proof my yeast in warm water with a little bit of honey to feed it and let it get foamy. With the mixer on low, I'm going to add the proofed yeast along with the lard that I made a few weeks ago, and I posted a video on that if you want to check that out, along with some eggs. Don't worry, all the measurements are going to be in the caption of this video, along with a link to my website. Make sure all of your ingredients are room temperature. You don't want to lower the temperature of the dough because it will take longer for it to rise. Mix that for about 5 minutes, and now place it onto a floured surface and knead it into a ball. The dough should be soft but not really stick to your hands. Once you have a smooth ball, you want to place it into an oiled bowl. I'm going to use the stand mixer bowl. It's just easier and less work. Coat that dough in the olive oil, put a cover on it, and let it rise for 2 hours in a warm place. Once it's doubled in size, punch it down, and now we're going to work on forming the casatiello. I learned how to make this many years ago from my Nonna Rosa, and she always would decorate this bread, so I'm going to reserve one little piece for decoration. And then I'm just going to evenly cut 2 pieces. If you want to use a kitchen scale to be precise, you can do that. Now I'm going to take each piece, and I'm not going to flour the surface. I don't want this sliding around. I really want it to stick to this silicone pad. I'm going to stretch it out to about a 12 by 18. It doesn't need to be exact. Just stretch it out as far as you can. And now I'm going to add the pork bits from the lard that I rendered. But if you don't have this, it's completely fine. You can use Soppressata. I'm also going to add some cubed up Sharp Provolone. I'm using Auricchio. And now I'm carefully going to roll it up, making sure not to lose any of those delicious little bits. If you do, just shove them right back in there. It's totally fine. Now, the reason that it's called Casatiello is because casa means cheese. So you want to make sure there's some form of cheese. Does it have to be provolone? No. If you like other types of cheese, like fontina or Asiago, it's up to you, but provolone is usually traditional. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the other piece, stretch it out. If it's fighting you, you want to let it relax for a few minutes, but this dough doesn't usually fight you. Just pull it, even if it tears, everything is okay. Because we're going to roll it and the tears don't matter. A lot of people get nervous when they attempt to make a bread if they've never done it before. And just like with any other skill, it takes practice. Maybe the first one doesn't come out perfect, but everything is a learning experience, and bread making is sort of a process. You have to go through it to learn from it. So now that I've spread out the other piece, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to sprinkle those pork bits on top, along with the provolone. And like I said before, if you don't have these pork bits, you can do soppressata, you can do prosciutto, you can do ham. This really is to your taste. Every family has their own recipe. My family happens to use these pork bits. Other families put other types of salamis in there or a combination. So really, the freedom here is to make what your family loves. Once I've used up all the ingredients, I'm going to roll it up just like I did the other piece. Start on one end and just gently roll, making sure you get all that good, delicious stuff inside the roll. And then once you have 2 of these logs, you're going to twist them together. And I'm going to show you that in the next step. Just make sure you roll both of them to seal that seam. And you want to stretch it out as you're rolling. Just make it a little longer because we really want to make it go all the way around the pan. So now that I have my 2 logs, I'm just going to twist them together. I'm not making a braid. This is just really easy, one over the other. And once you've twisted them together, you want to seal the seams on each end and form a circle. Another important part of this is to grease that pan, every inch of it. I'm using the lard that I made, but you could use butter, baking spray. Just make sure you grease the pan, even the center tube, because you don't want to go through this whole process and then not be able to get it out of the pan. And when I tell you this, I'm telling you this from personal experience. Once you've got it all greased up, we're going to add that twist to the pan. And then I'm going to add some raw eggs because those are going to cook in the oven. And the eggs go in between the twists. So you sort of want to nestle them not too far down, because then when the bread rises, they'll just disappear in the bread. So you just want to kind of sit them on top like that. And I always use 3 eggs. I don't know why. If you make it bigger, you can use more eggs, but this seems to be what I always do. And again, these are raw eggs. They will cook in the oven. Now I'm going to use that extra dough that I reserved to make decorations. If you're artsy or you're crafty and you like to make different decorations when you're baking, you can do anything at this point. This is just what my Nonna taught me to do. And so for me, it's a nostalgia thing. It's part of me honoring her whenever I make this bread. So I have my 3 strips, and then I'm going to take that little dough scraper and just cut little, not all the way through, just make little cuts all the way down. And then I'm going to just take a section of it and wrap it around each egg. If it's too long, you can cut it, or you can go around twice. It's really up to you. And if you want to skip this step altogether, you can do that. This bread is delicious without the decorations. So I placed my little decorative pieces of dough around each egg, and then I had some extra, so I formed little rosettes. The rosettes are really easy. You just want to sort of roll it, and it kind of just naturally looks like a little flower. I'll show you with the little piece I have here. Just take one end and roll it just like that. And then you can open it up a little bit to kind of make it look like petals, and then place it wherever you like. Okay, now it needs to rise for a second time. So I'm going to cover it and let it rise to the top of the pan just like this, so puffy and beautiful. Give it a nice egg wash. It's just 1 egg with a little splash of water. And you want to be gentle when you're doing the egg wash. You don't want to lose that nice puffy dough. Once this is covered in egg wash, you're going to place it into the oven at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes. You want it to be nice and golden brown. So that could vary based on the type of oven you have. And here's the final product, all golden brown and delicious. This bread is so flaky from the lard that we put in it, and there's just no comparison when you use real lard. The flavor is like no other. I promise you, this was your Nonna or your grandmother's secret ingredient. So I hope you enjoyed watching my family's recipe for Casatiello Napoletano. I'll be placing the full recipe along with the link to my website in the caption, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Happy baking, happy Easter, Buona Pasqua.